Welcome to Often Pacing on Tab Radio Racing and Sport. Tim Walker will be joined by Matt Young and Oliver Cownie as they delve into the form for today's Pinjarra harness meeting, as well as an early look at tomorrow's meeting at Gloucester Park. We are Often Pacing.
Nice bumper show to look forward to this morning as well on Often Pacing. It's a very good morning, everybody. Great to have your company. Tim Walker with you, about to be joined by Ollie Cownie and also Richie Bell filling in for Matt Young over the next couple of weeks while Matt enjoys a little bit of time off. And we're going to be working through Pinjarra and Gloucester Park, some bumper cards to look forward to, some headline acts on those programs as well. One of them is the better side, of course. Aiden De Campo is going to join us a little later on this morning to give us the very latest on not only the better side, but his 2-year-olds that are going around today as well. So looking forward to catching up with Aiden, off some success on Friday and Saturday night as well. Also this morning, your chance to get involved on the Retrovision text line, 0427 789 571. If you've got any questions of Ollie and Rich, who are about to join us, or Aiden as well, you can send them on through. But let's not keep our experts waiting any longer. Ollie, to you firstly, a very good morning.
Morning, Tim.
And to Richie Bell, good morning to you, Rich.
Yeah, good morning, Timmy.
Well, gents, let's get stuck into it. Friday night, we had a bumper 11-race program to work through, and it was eventful right the way throughout. Ollie, we're going to get your horses to follow, but just first and foremost, we might start with the feature event of the night, which was the Lewis, of course, for the mares, and your take on the performance of Soho Seraphine, who, after the first hit out here in the West, where maybe a little bit underdone, and Kim Prentice said he would have loved an extra fortnight under his belt going into that race, there was to be no such issues on Friday night and got the win in the $30,000 feature. How did you see her performance, Ollie?
They were really key comments leading into that race, and the parade ring interviews to say that Soho Seraphine, first up the other day, really did need that run. She wasn't beaten far, but Three Rumours did really put it to her a long way out and had the better of her. And on Friday night, it looked a lot easier race for her, and she went around $1.30 favourite, and she delivered in the end. And she looked under a little bit of pressure coming for home, but she kicked strongly and won pretty easily in the end. There will be bigger tests for her coming up shortly, but she did come through that race well and looked pretty good in winning.
Richard, this is going to be a good addition to the mares race, the mares ranks, I would think, and the mares races as well, going forward, Soho Seraphine.
Yeah, she did it pretty well. It did look her race. A couple out of the race, I like the runs of Little Darling, who had that 18-month break, just about an 18-month break, and came back with a really nice trial at Bunbury. Needed that run first up, and I thought she was terrific on Friday night behind Soho Seraphine and Wall Street Girl. Pulled out 3 wide and just kept coming on strongly over the final stages. Never gave it away. And I'd say third up, she'd just about be ready to win. And the other one out of that race I thought went really well was I Better, who's been a terrific little horse for Lang Inwood. Had 3 wins, 4 seconds, a third and 2/5 from its last 10 starts, and she actually put in a great performance, almost a career best there on Friday night against this company. She came from last, was wide, and was really hitting the line strongly over the final stages. And I wouldn't be surprised if I Better actually picked up a Friday night race in the near future.
All right, so keep an eye on a couple of those in behind Soho Seraphine. All right, let's get into some horses to follow. Rich, we might start with you, some other runners to follow away from the feature race there on Friday night from headquarters.
Yes, so apart from I Better and Little Darling, race 3, I thought Rock and Roll Elliott continued its really good form there. Didn't get a lot of room, came through on the inside in the final stages and just did what he had to do there to run the place behind Coney Island Lou. We saw its win prior to that. It was brilliant when storming home to score, and overall its form since resuming from a spell has been really, really good. The first up 5th where it galloped in the final stages, then it was in that race where they went ballistic behind Little Happy Fella and took the sting out of a lot of horses, including Rock and Roll Elliott. Had that barnstorming win at its next start when it came 3 wide from the 1,000-metre mark. So it showed its toughness there. and it's got fit and sprint ability as well. So I think Rock and Roll Elliott definitely a horse to follow. It came out of race number 3, and the other one was Lusaka, who continues this incredible form. It's had 28 starts in its career, been in the money 23 times, it's had 14 wins, and it's only a 4-year-old by Sweet Lou. And I thought its run on Friday night was brilliant again behind Rockmeister. Stormed home, but giving the leader about 7 or 8 lengths coming to the top of the straight. Only got beaten ahead on the line. So Lusaka continue on with its great form for the Bond team.
All right, Rock and Roll Elliott and Lusaka. Now, Ollie, let's get into a couple of your horses to follow, and you're going to the Turvey stable first and foremost.
Yeah, in race 2, Benji was a horse that was really, really eye-catching there. He did get the miracle run. He got the Gloucester Park sprint lane in the concluding stages to get through and get up for second. But he was second up there off a really long spell. So he's always been a horse that's had a good ability, Benji, and he hit the line really strongly there late in the race. They ran reasonable time, 1:56.9. So I think he's a horse going forward that could spring up in one of these Friday night races. Out of race 6, there was a horse here that really caught the eye. High price. To the eye, initially you thought, oh, maybe he did go a little bit disappointing not being able to pick up Me Flash, but they've run 1:55.7 and he's come 4 wide and then 3 wide, and he was making ground right to the line, and I'm not sure he handled being off the track at stages in the race that well, and when he was wide off the track, he wasn't making a lot of ground, which is usually understandable, but I think he's a horse that when he does draw a gate in a Friday night race, he can just about lead and win, or from any draw really. He's going to be really competitive, being able to come off the track in that sort of time. I think he's a horse to follow going forward. And then out of race 9, a mare in this race that was racing in the stand, Stormy Skies. Street Hawk was an impressive winner there. Didn't look very likely a long way out, but was able to get up and score. Stormy Skies had his back in the run, and just turning for home, Street Hawk was able to drop Stormy Skies, but Street Hawk's a pretty high-class animal, so that's probably understandable. But Stormy Skies really worked to the line quite powerfully and nearly picked up Parakeet later on the line and wasn't beaten far at all. So I thought Stormy Skies potentially back to Mayor's Company could be one to follow there.
All right, so that is for Ollie Cownie there, the horses to follow: Benji, High Price and Stormy Skies, Lusaka, Rock and Roll Elliott. Also, I better out of the feature for Rich. Hey, Rich, just on that standing start, before we let you go this morning, you mentioned on Friday night at the time when you crossed down prior to the interview, that was the kitchen sink and everything thrown at Street Hawk to get him over the line.
Yeah, it was a wonderful finish, wasn't it? Luca Pello nearly pinching it. And Gary Hall Jr. worked really hard on Luca Pello as well. So it was a double gym session for Junior. And Roberts, of course, Junior suffers the punitive action of the stewards the next few weeks. It's going to be interesting with the driving ranks too, Ollie, with Cole Symington away, Ryan Warwick out of play along with Junior. So it's going to open up a lot of opportunities for the drivers, ranked from 2 down to about 10 at the moment.
We'll be chatting to Aiden De Campo, who was the beneficiary of that. We know Ryan Warwick had been getting a couple of drives for Ryan Bell, and he was able to team up with Ryan Bell on Friday night for a few winners, and we'll do over the next couple of days as well, all things being equal. All right, Rich, anything else that we need to keep an eye out for before we do let you go this morning?
Just like a couple maybe over the next couple of days. I thought Codename Marcus was a terrific chance today in race number 8, the standing start. He's been in outstanding form his last couple of runs, including that win over What Are the Odds, who franked the form again there on Friday night. So I thought he was definitely the horse to follow to that Pinjarra. And at Gloucester Park, I thought Make Your Mark on Tuesday, drawn gate number 1, would go really close to leading all the way after finding on strongly from the breeze behind Champagne Everyone and the One Waver at its last start. So they're my 2, Codename Marcus and Make Your Mark over the next 48 hours. Beautifully done, Rich. Thanks for joining us this morning. We'll catch up with you again next week. Thanks, Timmy. Thanks, Ollie. There is Richie Bell, and you'll be able to hear Rich as well on Friday morning on the Gloucester Park preview. All right, Ollie, let's get down to your selections, and starting with Pinjarra today. Where was the first of your specials?
we won't have to wait long for this one. Comes up in the first race and draws barrier 1 out of the powerful Prentice stable. I'm Massimo. Thought he debuted quite impressively last start. Showed reasonable gate speed. Was hanging out a little bit. I think he should be better for that outing. They elected to take a steer on Lazarus Star there. Once the sprint lane appeared for him late, he picked up really strongly. And Lake Piccolo, who looked home a bit earlier in the straight, was sort of just holding him on the line. So I thought that was a really good run. And over the mile, I think they might elect to hold up and give him his chance out in front here. And he should be really hard to beat if they do. The main danger looks Hold the Ammo, who was really impressive on debut when he won and has since trailed quite nicely. So they look the main two in race 1.
$1.80, just to jump in, sorry, Ollie. $1.80 there on Massimo, $2.10 Hold the Ammo. So not a great deal between them, and it's $10 and upwards for the remaining 4. Race 2, the next of yours.
Race 2, we've got Dream Big Aim High. I thought he's been building really nicely from a spell. Looks to be nearing a win. Last start over the 2600, he stepped really fast and found himself 3 back the pegs off a 20-metre mark, which is quite impressive. Hold That Gold just got out before him there, and he was held up a little bit, Dream Big Aim High, and Hold That Gold got out and got running, and in the end, it was just able to hold that margin down to the line. Dream Big Aim High didn't give it up and was really good there, I thought. They came off the same handicaps there as they will today, but crucially, they moved from the 2600 to the 2100, which makes it slightly harder for horses to come off the back marks. The favourite, Till the Sun Sets, was racing at some of the lesser tracks in New Zealand, so I thought that was potentially a horse to just wait and see with. First up in Australia, I thought we could just see how it goes here and then potentially assess it from there. So I thought Dream Big Aim High could potentially be a really good each-way bet if we can get odds for that, or just potentially just a win bet.
All right. And race 4?
Race 4, we got Pecunious. Interesting little race, this one. It's just a small field, but we've got Bonnie Amore and Pecunious, who both they're fairly young horses and have shown a little bit of promise at stages. Has been her own worst enemy at times. Pecunious found herself out the draw a few runs ago, and then a few runs ago made a break and was sent back to the trials. Put in a pretty incredible run when she did make a break early. Still was able to run second with a huge effort. Trialled up quite nicely before last start. Found herself parked at Northern, which probably isn't ideal over the 2100, and could only manage third there. I think the key to this race is just being able to push up inside of Bonnie Amore, and if she can do that, she really will be quite hard to beat. If she can find the front there, then that'll be taking her a long way to win the race. Over the mile, it looks like they're the main two there.
All right, so that is on Massimo, Dream Big Aim High. Pecunious there in race number 4. So that's Pinjarra today. Let's turn our attention right here to Gloucester Park tomorrow night. We're back at Gloucester Park on Tuesday night, and we're going to the middle stages of the program for your best couple, the first of them in race number 3.
In race 3, we've got a horse that's recently landed in the Rigoli stable, Il Bandito, formerly with Ricky Alchin over in New South Wales. He had brilliant gate speed in New South Wales, which should suggest from gate 1 he'd be able to do enough to hold up here and lead this race, despite it being the 2,500 metre start point, which can be a bit tricky at times. I was reasonably impressed by his first up run. I thought he was really good. He was tucked away on the pegs. Once he did get out, he loomed into it quite strongly and hit the line quite well late. Magic Bay won that race, and it's a horse that's been flying recently. So I think that's reasonably good form for Il Bandito. Should be better for that run where it was first up. Comes into this race second up, draws the inside. If he can lead, I think he can lead for a long way. Then we move on to race 5, Good DLA Maddie. She's a horse that's always had really good ability. Put in a great run last start. She was dead last in the run, and she was able to run past all but one, and that one horse was Penny Black, who goes around a very short price favourite today at Pinjarra. Looks a race where there might be some tempo here. Make Your Mark, Adore Me Some More, Courage of Lombo, they're all horses that like to go forward at the start, and I think it could set up really well for her. It's also the key here is it's also her first run for the Ryan Bell stable. At times, for the older horses, those changes in environment or methods of training can sometimes spark up the older horses, and I can see Good Deal A Matty finishing really strongly here to run a good race for us, hopefully at each way odds.
Yeah, hopefully we do get a nice little price there. So it's Il Bandito and Good Deal A Matty in races 3 and 5 respectively tomorrow night. Just had one that's come through on the Retrovision text line this morning. Ollie, are you looking forward to seeing the newcomer to the Hall Senior Stable, Sweet Pins, later on this afternoon?
It was an extremely impressive trialer. Russell T. Betts, he put up a little piece about Sweet Pins and how impressive the trial was. It really was a trial. It was stylish and dropped to 27 quarter pretty easily. It was really eye-catching, and it could be a horse to follow in some of the bigger races coming up later this year, Sweet Pins.
Terrific. Well, Ollie, thank you for your time this morning. We do appreciate it. We look forward to catching up with you again a little later on in the week. And, of course, while Matt is away, you'll be a part of the Sports Daily previews as well. So looking forward to you being on board there next week. Have a great week.
Thanks very much, Tim.
You are listening to Off and Pacing on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
Yes, it's great to have your company on this Monday morning. Hopefully you're having a good start to the working week. We're not too far away from Pinjarra getting underway, a couple of hours. And, of course, we've got Gloucester Park tomorrow night, and looking forward to having a chat to Aiden De Campo about a few of his runners over the next few days. Hello to you, Aiden.
Yeah, good morning, Timmy. How are we?
Going very well. You'd be a very, very happy Fremantle Dockers fan this morning, I'd think. The sun just shines that little bit brighter.
Yeah, I think I've watched the game 4 times now, Tim, and still excited every time. So, but those Dockers supporters, we know not to get too ahead of ourselves. We'll probably get rolled by Richmond at home this week. And they like to keep us on our toes.
You'll be all right. Have you had time to train horses in between watching the replay?
Always time to do my job, Tim. Always time to do my job.
Speaking of it, you got it done on Friday night. A couple of winners, just on the free-for-all very quickly. So a couple of opportunities opening up with Belly here in the Code Breaker. Deserving of that win. Had been doing a lot of really good, solid racing in free-for-all company, and it just looked like it worked out perfectly on Friday.
Yeah, it did, Tim. Belly, went away from me for a few years there, but he always comes back. So good to get a couple of winners for him. And, Code Breaker's been racing well. It was just one further back on the fence than what he had to be. So he wasn't chasing that hot middle half like the other horses off the rail and up behind the leader were. So, yeah, it worked out perfect for him. He done the job.
And what are the odds as well? Put the writing on the wall with his couple of starts back, hadn't he?
Yeah, definitely. And, he's a quality horse. You can tell by his 2- and 3-year-old career that he's, right up to the best of them back then. He just went away from himself at 4, and now he's back at 5. Hopefully he can see the best of him. Absolutely.
All right. Let's turn our attention to these 2-year-olds. Wanted to have a chat to you about the better side, who we know is already a $100,000 feature race winner, that being the Sales Classic earlier on this year. We get to see him tomorrow night for the first time since March. How's he ticking along behind the scenes?
Yeah, really happy with him, Tim. He was a big, raw kind of 2-year-old and seems to have developed a little bit in the paddock. I still think he's probably got a little bit more developing to do, but he's come back a lot more mature horse, taking a fair bit of gear off him tomorrow, and I'm really happy with him heading into tomorrow night.
And no trial, that by design?
Yeah, by design, Tim. He tends to work pretty good at home, and I probably would have liked to have a run or 2 more at home, but there's no real races for him for another fortnight. So, Tuesday it is, and he's got the bad barrier because he won that race. So, the Louis V is going to be really hard to beat just with the draw advantage. But I think whatever my guy does, he'll improve on, and should expect a good forward showing from him.
Okay, so just on that tomorrow night, very quickly before we look at what might be in store for him. Barrier 7, obviously Robbie's 2 inside of you, who we know that they were thereabouts in the Sales Classic, in particular Louis V. In terms of a pass mark, if you're running on into the top 4 or 5, would that be a starting point at least tomorrow?
Yeah, I'd hope he'd run top 3, to be honest, Tim. I think he's going to be quite a versatile 2-year-old. He seemed to have a fair bit of gate speed last time in, and I think he's got a fair bit of high speed if you don't use him late. And suggests that his heart rate suggests that he should be able to do a bit of work in his races. So, I can't see Louis V getting too much trouble flying to the front. So he probably looks very hard to beat, but. I'll be hoping my bloke runs the top 3 for sure.
All right, so that's tomorrow night. And then in terms of what it looks like, so you mentioned that there's not another race for a couple of weeks for him, and before you know it, we will be looking at our more $100,000 feature race events for him. So how do you look to plot the path to the feature races?
Yeah, there's a race either Friday or Saturday, 12 days, 13 days in town, or Saturday at Bunbury. There's De Campo Memorials, which I might go to with him, just because it's, obviously a family race. It's not worth as much, but, it's always good to win. So I'll either head there, and then I'll probably won't have a start in between there, and then the heats the Pearl, and then go hopefully the heats and final that.
All right. And you feel like obviously there's a few gear changes that you touch on there, a bit of tinkering that goes on, but we're going to see a really good product this campaign and hopefully beyond that too?
I hope so, Tim. He's been hanging quite bad last time in and taken a fair bit of that gear off him, and he seems to be doing everything right at home, so it'll be a different thing once he gets to the races, but hopefully he continues to improve. I mean, he's already pretty much done his job as a 2-year-old, but if you can kind of snare another big one, I won't be against it, that's for sure. All
right. Now, just on a couple of the other drives, do you expect, as it was on Friday night, that you can start the night off with a winner for Belly from a favourable draw in the form of Frisky Sticks?
Yeah, I think so, Tim. And I know Belly was really disappointed with him first up, and then we took him back to trials the other day. I think he ran home in 55 the other day at trials, and I was happy with him. I think Belly's a bit of a harsh judge on the horse, and he thought he should have run home quicker, but I'm not sure many horses could. So I think he gets a good race, got good gate speed, should lead, and should be very hard to beat in that, you'd think.
All right, and Ollie just threw out good delay Matty as well earlier on as an each-way play tomorrow night. Do you feel like the writing could be on the wall for her to be figuring prominently in race number 5 despite a sticky draw?
Yeah, it's a difficult one for her. She's not a filly that can make her own luck. I think she's going to be driven with one run. So I'll have to speak to Belly about how he thinks she's going, and get a guide off him. But things go right. She's got enough ability for sure. All
right, we'll come forward to today if we can. That's Gloucester Park tomorrow night. But today you've got the 2-year-olds that are going around here. So Captain said so. Were you pleased with what you saw last time out from him?
Yeah, really happy with him, Tim. He's bit of a smart ass, this horse. He just kind of does things wrong, just not because he's badly baited or anything like that, just because he's always full of himself and just wants to trick you and just give you a little bit of a hassle. And he got it all right the other day, and hopefully continues to do it right. He's got enough ability. He just need to put it all together, and he did the other day. So hopefully he can do that again today. But he meets a bit of a stronger field today, and it's probably not going to get as good a run as he did the other day. Yeah,
so how does it play out there from a tricky draw? You mentioned not getting as good a run, and obviously you've got Kate Warwick's horse there, Hold the Ammo, and Justin's horse, I'm Massimo, to contend with.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've probably got to go back off the gate like we did last week and go from there. But, he's got a bit of high speed as well. He showed that by getting home in 27 last start. And, hopefully he can get over him late and just following Justin up the highway at the moment. So hopefully we can get in front of him in the race.
Fantastic. And Major Disco, a word there as well. Is it very much just the pegs looking the place to be today?
Yeah, he's actually quite a nice horse, Tim. He's just taken a while to kind of work things out. I was really happy with him first up. Probably should have run third. He's just hanging a little bit up the straight, and I couldn't really drive him. So I think going forward, he'll probably head to the paddock after today. But coming towards the end of the season, I think he'll do a really good job.
All right, and one more, Dorado, of course, in the stand, the best behaved version of Dorado. Can you be getting the job done in race number 8 here off the 10 metres?
Yeah, I think he's racing really well, Tim. He tends to begin really good from following out, so he's off 10 today. So following out a few off the front line, it's a really even race. So, things go his way. He could probably do a little bit of work in a race like this. And, I think he's probably gets his best chance to return to the winner's circle for a few weeks.
Fantastic. Well, good luck over the next 48 hours. Appreciate your time this morning, and hopefully that good form can roll on from Friday night and also Saturday night as well. Well done down there at Bunbury.
Thanks, Timmy. Appreciate it.
There is Aiden De Campo rounding things out on Off and Pacing today. Of course, if you missed any of the action this morning, any of our interviews with Ollie, Rich and Aiden there, you can jump on the podcast, tabradio.com.au, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of your good podcast platforms. We'll be back again to do it all again next week. And, of course, don't forget the Trots WA X page, the place to be today, also tomorrow, and then Friday night. Looking forward to being down here once again, bringing you all of the action. So a big week in harness racing to look forward to. But for now, that is Off and Pacing for another week. Thanks for your company. I'll leave you in the very capable hands of Leah Ernest for race day.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelpline.org.au.